Have you ever stood in front of your closet on a warm morning, hand resting on that one summer dress, and felt a flicker of doubt? Not because it didn't fit, but because something in it didn't feel like you anymore? As if the carefree ease the dress once held now sat a little heavier, like a memory that doesn't quite land right. I know that feeling. You see, this video isn't about criticizing dresses. It's about gently parting the seams of what used to work and rediscovering what lifts us now. Not louder colors or tighter fits, but softer confidence, more comfort. That subtle click of putting something on and feeling like yourself again. This isn't about trends, it's about truth. Last summer, my friend Lynette, she's 69 and bakes the best peach pie in the neighborhood, invited me over for a garden lunch. She wore a sleeveless rayon dress she hadn't touched in years. It used to be her favorite. But that afternoon, I saw her pull at the neckline, cover her arms with a folded napkin, and finally excuse herself mid-conversation. Later, over coffee, she said, "I didn't feel right in it. It's like it belonged to someone I used to be." That stayed with me, because we all have dresses like that, pieces we keep out of habit or guilt or memory. But the truth is, the best dresses don't just fit our bodies, they fit who we've become. So if summer dresses have felt confusing lately, if you've wondered why some days you feel frumpy or invisible or just off, stay with me. Let's begin with the most common mistake we make, when flowy turns into foggy. 1. The too big trap. When flow turns into fog. You ever slip into a summer dress and suddenly feel like the dress is wearing you? You look in the mirror and something's off. It moves, it flows, but instead of freedom, it feels like fog, like you've vanished under layers meant to hide, not celebrate. Here's the thing, oversized isn't always forgiving. Sometimes it erases us, especially with dresses that hang shapelessly from the shoulders without any structure or line. What we hope will feel breezy can end up blurring every part of us that still wants to be seen. Let me tell you about Carol. She's 66, lives in South Carolina, and volunteers at her town's art museum. Last summer, she bought a linen tent dress on sale, pale yellow, beautiful on the hanger. She wore it to her granddaughter's piano recital, thinking she'd feel relaxed, elegant. But she spent the entire night tugging at the hem, wondering if she looked like she'd just left the beach, or worse, was trying to disappear. When she called me the next day, she said, "Margaret, I felt like a lampshade with pearls." We laughed, but I knew exactly what she meant. The fear underneath that laughter. It's the fear of being overlooked. That somehow, comfort has to come at the cost of presence. That if we're not cinched or structured, we're just floating. But here's the solution. Look for gentle shape. A subtle waist seam. A curved hem. A neckline that opens the face. A dress doesn't need to be tight to be flattering. It just needs to remember your shape. Try adding a thin belt in a soft fabric or choosing cuts that taper slightly under the bust. It changes everything. Your body doesn't need to be hidden. It deserves to be held, softly, confidently. I remember switching to dresses with light shaping, not tight, but thoughtful. The first time I did, I caught my reflection and thought, there she is. Sometimes we don't need new clothes, just a new way of being seen in them. Ease isn't the same as absence. You can be comfortable and still visible. Next, let's talk about a mistake that's even more subtle. When light fabrics forget how to move with us. What's one dress you own that you want to love, but it somehow makes you feel smaller, not freer? 2. When length lets you down. Have you ever worn a dress that looked perfect on the hanger, but the moment you walked past a mirror, you felt stumpy? Like your legs had vanished and your whole frame sank inward instead of lifting up? Length, my dear, is sneaky. It can either elongate you or collapse you. And the wrong hemline is one of the quietest ways a dress can let us down, especially after 60, when our posture, proportions, and presence evolve. I remember my friend Judith, 63, who lives up in Maine. She had this beautiful cotton dress, indigo with tiny white flowers, Lovely fabric, lovely idea. But it hit her mid-calf, right at the widest part of the leg. When she wore it to her niece's bridal shower, she confessed, "Margaret, I felt like my legs just stopped, like someone pressed pause below the knees." The truth is, certain lengths, especially those that stop at awkward midpoints, can visually shorten us, even when everything else is working. That soft neckline, that flattering print, lost in a hem that doesn't serve the body beneath it. The solution? Know your PowerPoint. For most women, the magic lies just below the knee or at the ankle. A hem that ends right where your leg narrows again. That's your sweet spot. It opens up your silhouette and lets the eye move naturally. It's not about showing more skin. It's about framing yourself with intention. Personally, I used to avoid hemming anything. I thought it was too fussy, too much trouble. But once I started tailoring even just an inch or two off my dresses, suddenly everything clicked. I stood taller. I moved easier. My reflection felt more mine. Sometimes the smallest cut lifts the whole woman. Now that we've talked about where the dress ends, let's move to where it begins. The neckline. Because what's near your face holds more power than we often think. Which hemline makes you feel cut off or lifted? Let me know. 3. Sleeve illusions. Covering arms, hiding energy. Isn't it funny how a single part of our body can dictate so much of what we allow ourselves to wear? I've seen women pass over the perfect summer dress, not because of color or fit, but because the sleeves didn't hide enough. But what if, in trying to hide our arms, we've been hiding our aliveness too? Sleeves carry emotional weight. After 60, when our skin softens and our arms no longer resemble what they once did in photos, it's tempting to cover them up completely, 3/4, flutter, even full length in July. But in doing so, we sometimes lose more than we gain. My friend Maureen, she's 67 and full of life, once told me she hadn't worn a sleeveless dress in 18 years. "My grandkids have never seen my arms," she laughed, half serious, over iced tea in her backyard. But that summer, it hit 94 in Sacramento, and I convinced her to try on a breezy shift dress with cap sleeves. Barely there, but enough to offer ease. She looked at herself and whispered, "I forgot what it felt like to feel the sun on my shoulders." The right sleeve isn't about hiding. It's about freeing. Think soft flutter sleeves that move when you do, angled cap sleeves that flatter the shoulder line, or even sheer fabrics that offer coverage without weight. The secret is choosing sleeves that let air and confidence circulate. When we drape our energy in too much fabric, we don't just cover our arms, we dim our glow. And glow, my friend, is not something age takes away. It's something we choose to protect or reveal. For me, I used to reach for those bell sleeves that covered half my forearm, but they weighed me down. These days, I love a clean short sleeve with a soft taper. It feels strong, present, like I'm not apologizing for being here. Your arms may have softened, but your spirit hasn't. Next, let's move to where the eye lands first, the neckline. Because what frames your face shapes how you're seen. Do you avoid certain sleeves, or have you found one that finally feels like you? Tell me below. 4. Necklines that nurture, not date you. Have you ever looked at a dress and thought, that neckline used to flatter me, but now it just feels off? It's a quiet shift, subtle, even invisible to others, but we feel it. The way a neckline hugs, scoops, or cuts across our chest can either soften us or box us in. And the strange thing is, we often keep wearing the same necklines out of habit, even when they no longer reflect the woman we are today. A few summers ago, my neighbor Judith, she's 70, retired elementary school teacher, invited me over for lemonade on her porch. She showed me a photo from her daughter's wedding 20 years ago. "I loved that dress," she said, pointing at a square neckline, structured and high. "But when I tried it on last month, it just felt hard." We laughed, but her eyes clouded for a second. "Do you ever outgrow your own silhouette?" she asked. That question stayed with me, because yes, sometimes we do. Not because we've aged, but because we've softened, grown, shifted, and the necklines we choose can either meet us there or drag us back to a version of ourselves we've already said goodbye to. The secret? Opt for necklines that open rather than confine. A gentle scoop that mirrors the curve of your collarbone. A V-neck that elongates without exposing. Even a soft cowl that moves with breath, not against it. Avoid harsh horizontals that cut straight across the chest or overly high necks that create heaviness. Our necklines should feel like an invitation, one that says, "I'm still here, still radiant, still me." Personally, I used to wear mock necks all through my 50s. I thought they gave me structure. But now, a relaxed bateau neckline or open V makes me feel free, connected, seen. It's less about hiding and more about honoring the space between our face and our heart. A good neckline doesn't pull you back. It meets you where you are and gently lifts. Next, let's talk color, because even the softest dress can age us if the shade isn't aligned with our light. Is there a neckline you've let go of, or one you've only just discovered feels like home? I'd love to know. 5. The shoe disconnect. When pretty hurts. 2.55 foot. Do you remember a time you looked down at your feet and thought, "Why am I still doing this to myself?" Maybe it was at a wedding or a summer brunch on someone's patio. Your dress was light, the day was lovely, and your shoes were screaming. The truth is, for many women over 60, shoes become the quiet battle we fight in the name of looking put together. We slip on something narrow, stiff, or wobbly, not because it feels good, but because we think we should. But there comes a point when pretty shouldn't mean pain, and elegance shouldn't come at the price of presence. I remember Donna, 73, a retired travel agent from Portland. She showed up to our neighborhood book club in a gorgeous floral midi dress and kitten heels that clearly weren't made for her soft gravel driveway. By the end of the evening, she was barefoot, carrying them in her hand like a symbol of surrender. She laughed. "Why did I think I needed these to be part of the picture?" It was said lightly, but it revealed something deeper. We sometimes hold on to the idea that certain shoes complete the look, even when they subtract our comfort, our balance, even our joy. Here's the shift that changed things for me. Think of your shoes not as punctuation, but as foundation. The right pair should root you, not restrict you. Block heels, cushioned insoles, elegant flats with almond toes, soft leather sandals that mold gently. They don't just carry your body, they carry your energy. The goal isn't to look taller, it's to feel grounded, walkable, present. And here's the part that might surprise you. When your feet feel good, your posture improves, your expression softens, your whole outfit lifts. The right shoes don't just match your dress, they match your pace, your needs, your season of life. In my late 50s, I kept a pair of pointed nude pumps by the door for every party, every special day. But the truth? I was always counting the minutes until I could take them off. Now, I reach for suede block heels or even linen espadrilles. I still feel dressed, but I also feel steady. And that, to me, is the new definition of beauty. Quote, "A beautiful shoe is one that lets you arrive as yourself and stay." Up next, let's explore the colors that lift and the ones that quietly pull us down. What's one pair of shoes you wore just for looks and never again? Or one pair you now reach for without apology? Let's share. 6. The invisible burden, slips, bras, and shapewear. Ever stood in front of the mirror, fully dressed, but still adjusting something underneath? A strap digging in, a slip sliding down, a waistband folding where it shouldn't. And you whisper to yourself, why does getting dressed feel like a battle? Many of us over 60 know this quiet discomfort too well. We've been taught that the right foundation garments, as they used to call them, could fix our shape, smooth our edges, or hide the softness that life naturally brings. But somewhere along the way, those garments stopped helping and started weighing us down. Let me tell you about Barbara. She's 66, a retired music teacher from Asheville. One summer, she bought a breezy sundress for her niece's engagement party. It was pale blue, lightweight, with tiny embroidered flowers. But under that softness, she wore a shaping slip, a padded underwire bra, and thigh-hugging shorts. Halfway through the afternoon, she whispered to me, "Margaret, I can't feel my ribs, and I haven't sat down comfortably since brunch." We laughed, because we've all been there. But her next words stayed with me. I dressed like I didn't trust my body. That's the core, isn't it? We reach for control instead of ease. And somehow, in doing so, we lose the very lightness we hoped the dress would bring. Here's the truth. Slips, bras, and shapewear are tools, not mandates. The right ones should support, not suppress. A soft cut bra that lifts without poking, a half slip that glides instead of clings, a smoothing short that breathes with you, not against you. You deserve comfort that's invisible, but powerful. In my late 40s, I swore by firm shapewear for every event. By my mid-60s, I gave it all away, except for one nude slip I adore. Why? Because now I ask, can I breathe? Can I move? Can I smile and forget what I'm wearing? If the answer's no, it doesn't belong on my body anymore. Underneath it all, comfort is the real confidence. And speaking of what sits beneath, in the next part, we'll explore the quiet impact of color, how it lifts or dims not just our look, but our mood. Have you ever taken off a bra or shapewear and just sighed in relief? What's one piece you've let go of and never missed? 7. Color confessions. When safe gets too silent. Do you remember the last time a color made you feel alive? Not just appropriate or put together, but truly seen? I was having coffee with June, 72, silver hair like soft morning fog, always in taupe or navy. That day, she wore a butter yellow scarf. Just that, a small flicker of light at her neckline. And I said, "You look radiant." She blushed, then whispered, "I used to wear coral, but it felt like too much for someone my age." That too much is something I've heard over and over. Bright color becomes something we feel we need to earn with the right skin, the right waistline, the right moment. And so we retreat into beige, into black, into safe. But here's the truth. Safe, over time, turns silent. We think we're avoiding attention, but sometimes we're actually erasing our presence. Color, when chosen with care, doesn't shout. It hums. It says, "I still carry light." A soft blush dress with a white sandal. A sage green that mirrors the trees outside your window. Even a rich plum that deepens your eyes. These aren't loud. They're alive. When I turned 60, I packed away all my bright reds and told myself, that was for the younger me. But one day, I slipped on a periwinkle linen dress I hadn't worn in years, just for gardening. My neighbor glanced over the fence and said, "You look like yourself again." That line landed deep, like yourself again. Not younger, not slimmer, just true. Color doesn't demand attention. It invites connection. And speaking of connection, in the final part of our journey, we'll talk about what dresses are really for. Not to impress others, but to return home to yourself. So let me ask you, is there a color you used to love, but stopped wearing? Why? And could it be time to bring it back? Even in the smallest way. 8. When the dress feels right, but you don't. Have you ever slipped into a dress that should have worked? Right length, right fabric, even the color felt safe. But somehow something inside you just didn't feel like showing up? I remember being invited to a midsummer concert in the park, a casual Sunday thing, lawn chairs and jazz. I wore a soft A-line linen dress I'd bought just for the season. Everyone said I looked nice. But as I sat there listening to the music and watching people laugh around me, I felt strangely out of sync, like I'd dressed a version of me that wasn't invited. The dress was fine, but I wasn't in it. Sometimes we confuse choosing the right outfit with feeling right in ourselves. And at our age, it's not just about silhouette or sleeve length, it's about energy alignment, how you feel inside the dress, whether it holds your spirit or just covers your body. What I've learned is that the days I feel most whole in what I wear are the days I let go of dressing to impress or to disappear. I choose based on mood, not mirrors. Soft when I'm tender, crisp when I need boundaries, fluid when I want flow. For example, my friend Patrice, 65, had this floral wrap dress she wore for years. Lovely print, great on paper, but every time she wore it, she folded into herself. One day, she swapped it for a simple chambray shirt dress, added a bold necklace she hadn't touched in years, and I swear, she stood 2 inches taller. Same body, same day, different presence. You see, the dress didn't change. She did. So if you've ever looked at your reflection and thought, why don't I feel like me? The answer might not be in the cut. It might be in the intention. The best dresses don't just fit your body, they honor your energy. And now that we've unpacked what not to wear and why, let's close with something deeper. How to dress not just for summer, but for the self you've become. Tell me, when was the last time an outfit matched your mood, not just the weather? And how did it change your day? You don't need a new dress. You need a new permission. We walked through the shapes, sleeves, colors, and moments that can lift or weigh us down. And we learned summer dresses don't need to change. We just need to choose differently. Maybe tomorrow, pull out the dress you've been avoiding. See what it feels like with a looser braid, a softer shoe, or just kinder eyes. Which summer dress makes you feel most like yourself? And which one are you finally ready to let go of? Send this video to someone who thinks her summer has passed. Let her know it hasn't. I'll be right here, iced tea in hand, linen dress swaying, whispering what I hope you remember. You don't wear dresses to look younger. You wear them to feel more you.